Yep. So I graduated from Bournemouth University. God, I probably should have looked up the exact date, but it was around about 8 years ago, I think now. I'm a graduate of media production and BA course. So I really love everything visual media. Filmmaking was something I always did as a hobby as a kid. I'd make like little stop motion animation videos and yeah, just absolutely fell in love with everything media. I guess the media production course at Bournemouth University's got a really good reputation. So I kind of gravitated towards Bournemouth University, and it's a good area to live in the country as well. So yeah. So my year was the first year to do this course again. So media production used to be like a really well-known course for Bournemouth, and then they split it off into different categories like script writing, TV, digital media, and a few others. But for my year, they decided to add them all together and do the combined course again. So because of that, it did at times feel like we were a little bit of a guinea pig year. Yeah, I think overall my experience was positive because I learned a lot and made some really awesome connections with people who specialized in different areas, but the course itself sometimes was a little bit kind of jiggled together.
So they kind of just first time making it up. Well, not making it up, but like it's a bit test and go to see how it goes.
Yeah, and like that was cool because I felt like we had a really honest dialogue with our lecturers and we were all kind of aware of it being a bit new. But yeah, I guess when you're paying the amount that you pay for your university fees, you kind of hope that things are put together quite nicely. So yeah, it felt a bit off sometimes, but I don't regret going at all. Definitely stick to like your media and film production courses. Yeah, media studies, film studies. I also did photography, which really helped. Yeah, English, anything like that, just to get yourself in the mindset of analyzing moving image and yeah, any experience that you can get being technical. So maybe like IT, so you can do like your editing is also a really good option as well. I think because it's quite a small university, it doesn't quite have the same like campus feel as some of the other bigger universities. And I don't know whether that's just a victim of it being split across campuses and the accommodation being all around the place. I think maybe it's changed over time because the university is a lot bigger now. But back when I was at Bournemouth, yeah, it did feel quite small. And Bournemouth does have a creative media scene and it does have filmmakers, but nowhere near the same kind of scope as London. So it really depends on what you want to specialise in and if you're going to cram your work experience into your summers and breaks and stuff. I think it does fall down on that aspect of being able to make your contacts outside of your uni friends.
So do you feel like as a student that was a downside because there were no connections, or is it just better connections going to a uni in London?
I think there definitely are some quality connections to be made. Like, for example, when I was in my first year, I went to a networking event in Poole at the Lighthouse Theatre, and that was good, but it was almost like all of the filmmakers from Bournemouth were all in one room and you're limited. You can't then get work off the back of work that you do on set because there isn't really anyone else to go to. So yeah, that is definitely a bit of a closed dome of a place. I loved how with my course I could try everything. So I was editing, I was doing like live camera work, presenting, the script writing, which I obviously go on to develop a little bit more. God, we even did like projection, like art pieces, like it was so varied. And I honestly don't think without that course I would have gone into script writing. I would have leaned more into the like on-set production work, which is great, but isn't the right path for me. So that allowed me to explore my creativity really fully.
So for students who don't really know exactly what kind of media they want to get into, that kind of basis of try a bit of everything, dip your toes everywhere, and what you like, you can go down. And for you, that was script writing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I didn't even really specialize in script writing when I was at uni, but being able to revisit that later on. So I did like a foundation, like script writing course and did a little bit of it. But it wasn't till I had a little bit more life experience behind me that I then went back, revisited those things that I learned and developed that in my own time.
Okay. Anything else that was really good about being at Bournemouth University?
Just the people, like the lecturers were really cool and great to talk to, and the friends that I met along the way. Yeah, I wouldn't replace that with anything. Yeah, I was living in the student village. It was pretty gnarly looking at times, but I did love being on campus. I'm a bit of a nerd and like to be in my edit suite at stupid o'clock and getting stuff done. So I really benefited from that and being only a stone's throw away from my lecture theatre when I've got a 9 a.m. start. Yeah, and just the mix of people that I ended up living with. I don't know if I would have enjoyed being in a flat in one of the big halls as much as I did being in a house.
Why do you say that?
I just feel like it would have been a bit too many people for me.
Okay,
like
so
I've got the greenery around me. I can go out and do stuff. It felt a little more homely than a student flat. The biggest downside would be the fact that it was really dated at the time. But as I said, it's been refurbed. Yeah. But I think, again, being on campus allowed me to explore a lot of like extracurricular stuff that I probably wouldn't have gone out of my way to do if I was living in the town centre.
Accessibility.
Yeah, so like societies, I was on World Cinema Society. Then I also was able to hop in and do like live camera work for some of the TV stations as well. So because it was only across the road from me, I'd be like, yeah, why not? Let's do it. Whereas if I had to get a whole bus into the campus, like, would I grab those opportunities? Like, probably not. I would have felt lazy and not gone out of my way. So it's a good one if you really want to chuck yourself into the experience and like really make the most of your time. Yeah, I moved into a private let house in Winton with some of my course mates and other friends.
What was it like living in Winton?
Yeah, it was good fun. It was a bit of a shock not being so close to everything because it was maybe like a half an hour walk onto the campus. But I had such a blast in my house. Yeah, like those people that I lived with are some of my best friends still now. So yeah, I think I was quite lucky in that respect. And Winton has some good things about it. There's things to do. Chicken and Blues was like an absolute favourite. Definitely still up there on restaurants, and I've lived all over the place now. My final year actually stayed in the same house. I got on with my landlord, and a few of the people moved out to go do industry years. So we got a few new housemates buddy along. But
how many was in the house?
Oh God, there was 5 of us all together.
How many bathrooms?
You know what? The bathroom was probably the only time we ever argued because getting time to get in the shower before your lectures in the morning was sometimes a little bit of a queue. But you develop a habit like showering at midnight instead just to get your shower in. So it wasn't ideal, but we managed to made a laugh out of it. I think sometimes there was a little bit of negativity from the locals to the students, especially like in the local papers and that, like people get really riled up at like more student accommodation being built, and sometimes on nights out you would kind of feel that divide of like the local community and the student community, and they don't always get on. But I do love Bournemouth as an area. Like I ended up moving back down to Bournemouth for work later on in my career, and I'll always have a fondness of being down there. But again, kind of relating to what I was saying before, it does feel a little bit secluded in terms of you just endorse it. Being in Student Village was quite limited. We didn't have like a big supermarket nearby to get those essentials, but we did get a bus pass to be able to go into Bournemouth and get to like the big Aston in the train station. So yeah, it wasn't the most convenient. Bournemouth is a bit of a dying high street. Like a lot of the big shops and that closed down. So there isn't as many options, but there was never a point where I felt like I had to go out of my way. Like sometimes I'd pop to Southampton to go to IKEA if I needed a bit of furniture or whatever. But yeah, the day-to-day stuff I could get hold of.
And was it easy to get to Southampton?
No, I'd have to get a bus to the train station and then the train out, which not only is like a time thing, but also like when you're a student, that's quite expensive to do as well. Just make the most of it. It goes so quickly. And at the time, it might not feel like it, but just chuck yourself in, do stuff that you wouldn't normally do, put your name down for whatever takes your fancy, speak to people from different cultures, speak to people with different opinions than you, and just like make the most. Like, don't waste your time sitting there not doing things and not speaking to people and like crowded up in your room. Just really, yeah, like make the most. It goes quick. Go in with an open mind. You might end up specializing in something that you didn't even know existed. You might, yeah, just find a particular passion. And yeah, I think it's really easy when it's a lot of self-led stuff. So we would work on our own projects, and we would, yeah, have a lot of self-driven projects. Just don't slack out on that. Really, like, go full like you're being funded by somebody to make something, because that's where you can safely make those creative mistakes and it not bite you in the ass by losing a job. So yeah, think about where your funding's coming from. Don't expect everything to kind of fall on your lap. Do crowdfunding. We ended up doing bake sales just to raise a bit of money. There will be times where you are out filming and you forget to hit record, or you forget to roll your audio, or you don't charge the batteries the night before. Like, make all those silly little mistakes early, and then when you have to do it for a client after university, you'll go, oh God, I need to remember to put my batteries on charge or clear my SD card, because I don't want to make that same mistake again. Love being by the beach. Like, you'll miss that when you're gone. There's loads of good creative stuff in the area as well. There's like Arts by the Sea Festival. There's a few like little film festivals and stuff that happen. Yeah, again, make the most of the locality and the people that you meet there. I grew up in local Norfolk, in the middle of nowhere in a village. And knowing that I wanted to go into digital media, I knew that I had to get myself out of there. And I knew that there weren't going to be the opportunities. There's like a BBC and an ITV, and they're like impossible to get to because everyone's applying for that. I also just wanted to develop a creative and independent life away from my family and discover myself a bit more. I was very ready to go and do my own thing.
Okay.
So I would say I'm quite early on in my career compared to more like seasoned script writers, but that's quite standard that people don't develop their career until later life, like 30s, 40s. The reason for that is to be able to write good stories and write good characters, you need to have been battered by life a little bit to be able to write realistically. So at the moment I do script writing part-time, so alongside a paid job, which helps me fund the dream. I am represented by Paperline Limited. They're my agents. So although we work together, we don't work for one another.
Contracts?
Yeah. So you sign a contract, they help you find work, they help look over your work and make edits and put you in contact with the right kind of people. So to be able to learn like business to business communication is really important. You're speaking to people who are your equals, but also you're helping each other. So yeah, a lot of it is research based. So I write mainly like kids animation, and I've also developed some of those scripts into picture books, keeping my eyes wide open into the world to be inspired, and then sit down and write. And it kind of pours out once you're inspired. It's a difficult one. I think I would have done more on the actual script writing and writing side of things, because I was like really heavily production focused. But again, it's like a double-edged thing, because of that experience, I know how to write for production, because I know what it's like to work with a script that doesn't work in the real world, or dialogue that doesn't come off natural. So yeah, although I could have fast-tracked my career and maybe gone into script writing straight after university, would I be as good of a script writer? Like, probably not.
Okay.
Yep, so that's the job I do part-time alongside my script writing. That allows me to have a kind of basic income and pay my bills, while the freelance work is kind of sporadic. It's great. We work basically for buy-to-let landlords who are buying second properties to let out. We are the middle person between the valuer who goes out and inspects the property and the applicants and the brokers who are applying for the mortgages. We're checking if there's any like structural issues, any like dampness, anything wrong with the property that the applicant would need to know or get the reports for. It's kind of your basic standard desk job, but it does give me the freedom to be able to think creatively, because once I log off from my job, I don't have to think about it anymore. It takes me about 15 minutes to half an hour to work a case. Then I never see it again. It gets moved on to the next process. So I'm not tied down to a career where I've got no mental headspace afterwards to do the writing. So it's a really nice kind of balance between the two fields. So I've worked loads of different jobs in lots of different fields, and every single thing I've learned something more about myself. I have been able to become a harder worker, to become better with people, to communicate, to know what I want from life. And I initially took the job as a mortgage caser because of COVID. So I was working a more creative job and I got made redundant. So in my head, I'm like, I've got a house, I've got a partner, I've got a cat that needs feeding. I need a job that is not going to leave me because of COVID. People are still buying houses. Mortgages always exist. So I was like, it might not be what I know. And I was like really honest in the job interview. I was like, I don't have a mortgage myself. I'm a renter. I know nothing about mortgages, but what I can give you is a hard worker who is willing to learn. And I just don't believe in turning your nose up at any kind of work. If it's not related to your field, you can still find out things that do help you develop in the long term. And it's about having a means to an end. Like, you know which direction you want to head, which is writing, which is creativity, but you've got to practically get yourself there. Like, I don't rely on my parents, and I never did when I got out of university. And that's something that has helped me. So I like the company. I like their ethics. They're all about cruelty-free beauty. Again, I was looking for a stepping stone, and being a receptionist was something that I could easily hop into without having much experience. I have a quite strong customer service experience that I could bring into that, but I didn't stay there for very long because I felt like I had more to give. I had a drive to do bigger things, and when the job in procurement came up, basically what that involves is buying like the furniture, the spa equipment, everything that the spa needs to be able to run. Working in supply chain and purchasing, like invoicing. That job came up, and as soon as I read the job out, I was like, that will allow me to be creative. Like, I'm making decisions, like I'm picking designs, I'm trying to think of better ways for the therapist to be able to do things that are going to save them time, they're going to save the company money. So I was like, have to apply for it, and went for it and got the job, which meant that I moved back down from Birmingham, back down to Dorset. And yeah, I loved it. Unfortunately, I lost that job due to COVID. So that is why I then ended up leaving. Absolutely. Like, that job was so similar to the work that I did at university, because I, alongside writing, also specialised in like production management and producing. So that involves budgeting, that involves booking people, that, yeah, your finance side of it, then your organizational skills, and being able to see the bigger picture of, this is the film that I want to create, this is what I need to do to get it there. So those kind of practical skills and being able to manage a project, they're so tightly wound up. And I think students should look at that as a positive rather than negative. So yeah, you might have gone to university going, I want to be a film producer, but think about how many doors can open for you from being open-minded, and think, and actually, like, it's probably more secure financially to be able to go into jobs like that, and to be able to think, okay, what's my next steps? It might not be where I want to be forever, but I can absolutely do this with the skills that I have. So I used to do Instagram, like beauty work. That was really fun. It's just something that's a personal interest of mine, and it went quite well. So I ended up being able to work with a few brands, doing like gifted campaigns and stuff. And again, it was a way for me to work a non-creative job while still fulfilling my creative needs. Like, it's always important for me to have one
creative side.
Yeah. Boots was my part-time job while at university. So that was purely so I could afford to eat while at university. My student loan would come in, and my rent was actually more expensive than the loan amount I got. So yeah, that was a great job. I'd be grinding away at uni 5 days a week, and then I'd be grinding at Boots, 7 people on the tills. So don't overcommit your time. Just remember why you're at uni, which is to get your degree and to learn and to do well. Like, don't ever let money get in the way of that. So don't try and get a part-time job or a full-time job, sorry. Yeah, a part-time job that will allow you to work either evenings, like in a bar, or like retail, which you could do on the weekend, is going to be so much better because you've still got the time to be able to do well in your degree. I don't feel like it held me back with my education because I was quite good at like separating those two things. But it can be very easy to get a job where your manager is expecting you to fully commit, whereas my manager knew that I was just paying my way through life. I'd say my social life probably got impacted more than my education, but that was just the way I chose to prioritize it.
So do you feel like a student can still have a part-time job, go to university, and have a social life?
I think it depends on the person and what they want to get out of their time. Yeah, it's possible. You just have to be willing to work hard and be a bit tired and off coffee for a bit. You do what you do to get by. So that was my placement that I did between my second and third year. So I was working for Sweet TV, who work on a lot of the like comedy panel shows. That was really fun. I was basically a glorified tea lady for all the producers and the editors, but it allowed me to get the experience of what it's like in the professional world. It's a very different way of being and a very different way of presenting yourself. And yeah, it actually gave me courage that I could work in the TV and film industry one day, because I was like, actually, these are just normal people who have their own lives and it's just a job. Yeah, I got to sit in with some of the edit sessions as well and like see like the audio mixing and the timeline editing and stuff. So yeah, it was really good fun. So I only did a placement over the summer. We could either do that or do the full placement year. When it comes to the media industry, it's really hard to get a full year because most people who work in the industry are freelance, contract based, just on the projects, and then they go on to the next thing. There were a few people that did it through like internship schemes and stuff like that, but if I was given the opportunity to do a full year, I would have done it because it boosted my confidence so much and really opened my eyes. So a PAL leader basically will go to their second year and be allocated a group of first years. So you'll be given, I think it was like an hour once every 2 weeks, just to sit with them and do whatever you like. So you can go over a specific thing that they're studying at that time. So if they're editing, we could take them into the edit suite and show them some things. If they needed support on like housing, finance, anything to do with the uni, we could put on sessions for them, give them the guidance, answer any questions. It was a big time commitment considering I was also working as well. So that's something people would have to really think about. For me, I don't know if I got a lot out of it, but I like to think that the people who were in my PAL group might benefit from having a friendly face who had been there a year before.
Was the pay worth it?
No, because you're only doing one session once every 2 weeks. It was like pocket money, really. Like it didn't last very long.
So that would be more of like a give back kind of thing to do in your free time if you'd like to give back some help to students who were in your position a year ago.
Sure, yeah. If you're that way inclined and want to give back and want to meet more people in a different year. Yep. So I was part of the World Cinema Society, where basically once a week we would put on a screening of a different non-English language film. That was great because I got to meet people who are also passionate about cinema and was just basically like going to the cinema for free. So that was really cool. Yeah, in the first year, I was just like a member and would go along. And then I got involved with being president later on in second year, but did kind of drop off that in my third year just because of time. I didn't have the time to sort all that out anymore. So I did kind of drop off there. I did also go to a few talks with the Feminist Society as well. Just a few like local business women who would give talks, advice for young women who want to start their own business or to take control of their education. So that was good. I'd just pop along as and when I wanted to with that one. Only do it if you're really passionate about it. If it's something you really care about, it will come very naturally to you. And you'll always have the support within the student union to give you advice on how to handle like the event side of things and the money side of things. I did also get involved in my third year with the Performing Arts Society as well, and help them with their theatre production that they put on. And the student union was so helpful and so supportive. Like, basically, when I came on to the board of that society, they were in debt from their show last year. They didn't make enough money from their ticket sales to cover the full costs of like renting and costumes and lighting equipment and everything. They were really good at helping me kind of put plans in place and to put on events to then raise money for that year's show. So yeah, don't be afraid to ask for help. There'll always be someone who's going to know the answer or point you in the right direction if you're having a bit of a nightmare. Talk to the people who ran the society the year before. They will be able to give you the best advice for sure. Do you know what? It is one of the hardest things going from being a student to putting yourself out there in the real world. I'm going to be really honest. I had a big mental health breakdown because you're told in life, you go to school, you go to college, you go to university, and you kind of have your hand held a little bit through that process. And then suddenly everything's your responsibility. Like, there isn't an answer or a path to go down. You just kind of have to go through life and make the best of it. So yeah, it was a massive shock. But do you know what? It built me, and it makes you realize what you can do when you're under pressure. It can make you realize what you can do when you and you don't have a like student union to back you up if things fall down. Yeah, it's mad. Again, be open-minded. I know I keep saying that, but yeah, once you get on your feet and you get a bit older, you grow a level of confidence about you. And although I loved my time at uni and was so like crazy at getting myself immersed, like now I can just live a bit of a simple life, and I know what makes me happy, which is my writing. I know what pays my bills, which is my job at Nationwide, and eventually script writing when my career gets to that point. But yeah, I feel comfortable. I am where I am, and you just let life kind of breeze over you a little bit more, take things less seriously, put less pressure on yourself.
And like you said, it took you a couple of years to get here, right? Where you are.
Trust your gut and let yourself gravitate to things that you enjoy rather than you feel like you should be doing. As I said, I didn't come back to writing until like years after uni, and I ended up doing that because I just needed a creative outlet. So I was just writing little silly like animation scripts. I didn't plan on showing them to anybody, and I didn't for a long time. And I got challenged to start sharing it by a close friend of mine. Ended up submitting one of my animation scripts to called Scripts Out Loud, which is where like industry professionals come together. They do like live table readings with voice actors. Sorry.
Did you do that before you finished university?
This was years after university. This was only like less than 2 years ago.
But I'm asking if a student can get involved with that while at university.
Absolutely. You can do those things.
Can you tell us more?
But I think there's a beauty in life to not putting too much pressure on yourself. You can do those things and write and submit to competitions and do these opportunities, but like just use it to be a bit of a sponge rather than chucking the sponge at the wall. Yeah, I think, yeah, just don't put pressure on yourself too much. And I went back to writing because naturally it's just where my heart went to, where my creativity fell. I could have easily boxed myself off and gone, no, I only want to go into production and I only apply for production jobs. But you don't give yourself the chance to be authentic and go, what is it I actually enjoy spending my time on, and what gives me joy in life? So I wasn't very good with finance when I first started uni, and I saw this like lump of money come in and I spent it on a gym membership at the student union. My gosh, I could not afford that. Like, actually sit down, like make a spreadsheet, figure out what you can afford, what you can't afford. Don't let yourself feel left out. There'll be people that you like you'll make friends. There'll be people that you don't like because that's just the way that life is. I think in my first year, before I kind of found my people within my course, felt like I was a little bit more socially anxious and I didn't feel like I fit in as well. And that worried me a lot at the start because I'm like, God, if I can't get on with people, like this is going to be a really lonely experience. but then you do start to gravitate towards the people that have stuff in common with you, and like that's okay. Like, don't again put pressure on yourself to fit in with a friend group that don't align with your ethics or don't align with your personality. Like, I was trying to go out to clubs and be like a club type person, and as I said earlier, I just chilling in a pub with some live music, and yeah, I found the people who also like that. But yeah, just don't change yourself. You're cool the way you are. I think at the beginning everyone tries to do that because it's what you do. Like, you go out to freshers events and you go get drunk and whatever, and that's fine. Like, I did enjoy that a lot, but yeah, you will start to figure out that there are also people in that club who aren't having a good time like you are. And yeah, once you start to go through the years at university, you do become more authentic and you do find your people. So there will always be people who don't enjoy clubbing if you don't, but if you do love clubbing, you'll have a great time, you'll make loads of friends, and it'll be awesome. Yeah, I think I'm going to stick to the be yourself mantra, and yeah, don't let your parents tell you what to do university wise. Don't put yourself in a degree that you don't want to do but you feel pressured to. Don't follow your friends and where they're going or what they're doing. Like, just have a real solid think about what makes you happy. Like, this is like a privileged position to be able to get to choose what you're going to study, so like let it be the right one for you.